A major university is an incredible place of learning, creativity, and accomplishment. As president of Oklahoma State University, I have the opportunity to explore and experience what makes our campuses unique. I'm Burns Hargis. Come along with me, and together, let's go inside OSU.
Welcome to Inside OSU. I'm Meghan Robinson. Today, we shine a spotlight on the incredible career of Burns Hargis. Since becoming president of Oklahoma State in 2008, the university has broken records in enrollment and raised over $2 billion. There have also been major improvements in arts, academics, and athletics. He is the third longest tenured president in school history, and this summer, he will officially retire. I met Burns Hargis and his wife Ann in the presidential suite at the Atherton Hotel for one final interview as president and first cowgirl of Oklahoma State. Join us as we look back on their time in Stillwater in this final episode of Inside OSU with Burns Hargis.
A blur. It's literally been a blur until this past year. But no, it is so intense and exciting and energetic, and it's just a blur.
I would call it magical. I mean, to me, it's the unexpected. It's happening all the time.
You are a OSU grad.
Correct.
But what made you want to return here as president?
Well, frankly, it never occurred to me to return here as president. I was on the Board of Regents for about 5 years, and when one of my fellow regents turned to me and he said, "You ought to apply for that job," and he says, I said, "You're crazy."
Really, the very first time he thought about it, I thought, "Are you nuts?" And then by the time the process took place, and it had been quite a while, when he accepted, I knew that he was the right person for the job.
I finally decided, that would be a way to give back, because this place really means and meant a lot to me, because when I grew up, I moved so much that this was really my first community ever. And it's where I learned how to like to be involved on campus.
You know, Burns has always been a visionary, and he's always been a motivator. And I thought, he's got the tools. And so I just knew it was going to be a special time.
You had several different careers before becoming president of OSU. How did those prepare you for this role?
Ironically, it was excellent preparation, as it turned out, because I was a lawyer for 28 years and tried cases, trying to convince juries that what my side was right. So persuasion is important. I was in politics. Being a fundraiser is really good preparation, because a person doesn't need, I now know, a person doesn't need to be an academic to be president. You need a good provost if you're not an academic.
When you were named president 13, 14 years ago, what were your initial goals, and did you accomplish them?
Well, I didn't accomplish anything. I mean, it takes a lot of people to accomplish things. But one thing I knew, because I'd been a regent, is that we desperately needed money. I mean, the legislature had declining support for higher education, so we came up with a big fundraising campaign. But the goal is $1 billion. I mean, I want something that is really big, and nobody thinks we can do it. But I know we can do it, and that was the first big goal and initiative that we did. We raised $166 million in the first 2 months, and finally reached $1 billion in 5 years. We had a 7-year goal, but we reached it in 5. The person that gets a lot of credit for that is Boone Pickens. He really changed how OSU people thought about themselves. If anything, he inspired us to be much more than we thought we could be.
How did the job actually compare to the expectations you had going into it?
I thought I knew a lot about the job, and I probably did, but it is so much more than that. The pace is incredible. I mean, you're basically on the road, I would say, at least 2 weeks out of a month and going everywhere. But you have student events, you have faculty events, you have donor events. It's just nonstop.
I mean, you just explained a snippet of what goes into being the president. And although it's a lot of work, a lot of good memories come out of your time. So what's your favorite? We've
thoroughly enjoyed the experience, the people we've met, the students that we've watched grow up here. It's just been terrific. There's so many memories, but one that I'll never ever forget was the opening of the McKnight Center with New York Philharmonic. That was a glorious evening, and October 11th, 2019. I'll never forget that.
But with the highs come the lows.
These are obviously incredibly difficult circumstances, even more so for the families.
OSU players and fans, as you might imagine, are in shock after 2 coaches and 2 longtime donors were killed in a plane crash.
Well, when we lost our women's basketball coach, Kurt Butke, and his assistant, Miranda Cerner, and the Brandstetters, that was a horrible, horrible time. And we got the call, we were at our home in Oklahoma City, and got the call about 3 in the morning that they had found the plane. And so that was a very tough time. He had kids here, and it was really very sad. And then, of course, when the girl rammed into the homecoming crowd.
The Oklahoma State University family feels the pain of losing their own as people try to find strength through each other.
Ann and I had been in the parade, and we had already finished and gone home, and we'd had breakfast. We were sitting there having the coffee, reading the paper, and my phone, both our phones just blew up. And we had rushed around and went to my office, and the issue was, do we play the game? And we all talked about it and decided it's better to stay together rather than everybody just disperse to the 4 winds. It's better to stay together and support each other. Do a prayer and be respectful, but go ahead and play the game.
Our Father, who art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done.
The unexpected accidents that happen, the tragedies that happen, that just absolutely rock your whole soul. But I'll say that out of that comes some of the most wonderful stories of how people come together to help get others through that time. But the goodness of the people at OSU kind of pulls you back.
One of the defining moments of President Hargis's career came in March 2020. When the COVID-19 pandemic forced him to shut down campus.
With the end of spring break, we come together not connected by proximity, but by cause. Our country, our world is in a battle against the spread of COVID-19. The only way to fight this battle is to spread apart. That's why, starting today, all courses for our Stillwater and Tulsa campuses will be held online for the remainder of this academic year.
Last March, when COVID hit the world, everything happened almost overnight. It was very quickly that you shut down campus. What was that process like?
Well, you're right. It was so abrupt. I'm on the NCAA board, and it was in the middle of the Big 12 basketball tournament, which is going on this week. And we decided to cancel the tournament. And then the NCAA decided that we were going to cancel March Madness. And we decided, let's not bring the students back in person after spring break. We'll finish virtually. And we really we pivoted really well. It was surprising, the faculty and the students, and we got it done.
In this video, we're going to go through some examples.
But then we spent the summer trying to figure out how to come back to class, and we came up with this Cowboys Coming Back plan. Hi, I'm Burns Hargis, President of Oklahoma State University, and I'm pleased to report that OSU is making plans to open our campuses for in-person classes this fall. We're working on the details and protocols to make our return as safe as possible. You can be assured that we will follow the advice of state and federal leaders and health officials. We look forward to having you on campus this fall. So we got through the semester with not pretty good, actually, but we decided we wanted to come back in person in the spring. So we really enforced the mask rules, but in classroom you had to keep your mask on. And we were, in some classes, you could not access the virtual unless you had an excused absence. We had the equipment to process the PCR tests, and we were processing 2,000 a day, and much more than anybody else in the state. And now, when the vaccines have come in, we're vaccinating about 1,000 people a day.
There is no doubt the Hargises are prominent figures around Oklahoma State's campus, but there is a third member of the family who might be the most popular.
But Ann wanted a dog, and she normally gets what she wants one way or another. And so I say this wonderful pet therapy program was just a scheme to get a dog. Scruff has become the lord of the manor. I mean, you know, but he truly went from the outhouse to the penthouse.
But I will also say Scruff was rescued by co-eds. So it's interesting to me that Scruff is now gone full circle because he's now giving back to the co-eds, and I love that. The other thing that I think he's enriched our lives in that he makes us more family-oriented. I mean, this is a very family-oriented campus, and Scruff kind of opens those doors and breaks down barriers. And so, I mean, it's, again, our lives are different because of the dog, and we feel very blessed.
There's something, it's not a family member, but sort of part of your identity, I guess you could say, here at Oklahoma State. Clementine.
Oh no, Clementine's definitely part of the family.
She's a girl, for sure.
Yeah, oh no, she holds her head high. Ann wanted, it was that first year we were here, and I didn't know what to get Ann for Christmas, and I didn't really have time to go look for much. And so Ann said she'd like to have one of those electric cars so she could take kids to class and that sort of thing. I went down to the electric car place, and all they had were red carts. And I said, that won't work. And he said, I thought you'd say that. So I checked with the Midas dealer down there, and he can paint it for $700. Well, I'm desperate. So I take my son and I pulled the cart down there, and the guy said, tell him PMS 160, what is it?
168.
168 is the orange color. And they said, well, then that's patented to OSU. What if you had a letter from the president of OSU? He said, oh yeah, I'm sure that'd be okay. I said, well, give me a piece of paper. And I'm in sweatshirts, blue jeans. You're the president of OSU? Anyway, that's how Clementine was born, and she has been a joy.
I once was taking a major donor around campus in the golf cart, and she said she was not an OSU grad, but she said, you know, for the number of times I've been on this campus, I've never seen it before like this, because as you see the campus from the car is not the same as from the sidewalk. And I thought, well, what a wonderful way to share your campus with somebody. Just get in the golf cart and just go wherever they want to go. So, yeah, Clementine has a lot of stories.
What's going to happen to Clementine when you guys move on from OSU?
We will bequeath her to the next president.
It's an awesome parting gift.
Well, she needs to be here. There again, she just belongs here and she knows her way around.
Your impact has gone beyond Oklahoma State's campus and into the Stillwater community. In what ways have you both been involved here in Stillwater outside of OSU?
Well, that was very intentional. There had been a time when the city and the university weren't getting along that well. And our view was that we're joined at the hip. What's good for Stillwater is good for OSU, and what's good for OSU is good for Stillwater. And so from the very beginning, we worked very diligently to go work together. There's a lot of synergy between the two entities. And we were active in a number of the charitable activities, the United Way, Youth Services.
Payne County Youth Services.
Payne County, the Chamber of Commerce.
When you realize that the university employs thousands of people, so many of those people have spouses who are employed in the city itself. So you really cannot ever separate one from the other. We are all one community, and that's the approach we take.
What will you miss most about coming to campus every day?
I'll miss, well, I miss the students. I mean, people just don't understand what a college campus is like. And the reason it's like that is, you know, they're a little bit crazy and they radiate energy. There's so much just pure energy on this campus, and it basically energizes you. And I had a president tell me when I first came here, he said, if you're getting kind of tired and frustrated or just heck with it all, get out of your chair when classes change and just walk around for a while. You'll be fine. And he was right.
What are you most looking forward to about your retired life?
I'll tell you one thing I'm going to do for fun, though. And I used to always say, when my ship comes in, I want a Steinway piano. So I started taking jazz piano lessons. And I did that for 2 or 3 years before we came up here, and I haven't been able to do much here. I've played a couple of times here. I play with the jazz band, and fortunately they play really loud, so nobody can really hear what I'm doing. But I'm going to go back, and I've already called my jazz teacher. I'm coming back.
I love that. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
What message or advice do you have for your successor?
Do a lot of listening. Spend a good bit of time listening, and I'm gonna be available. I'll be happy to tell her who to listen to, but just do a lot of listening. And if you've got good instincts, you'll be fine.
What do you think your legacy here at Oklahoma State is?
Well, I hope it's being a student-oriented president. That I really love the students, and we do great research here. We do extension where we transfer the knowledge or take the knowledge from the university to our state. The students are what makes it for me, and that's what I'd like to be known as.
Hargis plans on playing some golf along with the piano once he retires. He and Mrs. Hargis are also looking forward to traveling and have a trip booked to England later this year. On behalf of the entire Cowboy family, I want to say thank you to the Hargises for all of their contributions over the last 13+ years. America's brightest orange is brighter, and the university is a better place because of you both. Thank you for joining us on this final edition of Inside OSU with Burns Hargis. I'm Meghan Robinson. Go Pokes!